Push-ups got my chest from looking like this to looking like this, and that was all from regular push-ups. But 6 years later into my journey, I wondered, can I actually get more out of the push-up to get more chest growth? Short answer is yes. You absolutely can. By changing the way I did my push-ups, again, I got my chest from looking like this to looking like this, even after 6 years of consistent calisthenics training. Same goes for my friend Matthias, who blew up his chest in less than 4 weeks of training with me and doing exactly what I did. So if you're already finally gonna get that chest growth you're after. And if you clicked on this video, I genuinely believe that you will be a great fit for my Jacked by Calisthenics Blueprint program. This is exactly what my friend Matthias has used for the past 4 weeks to be able to make his transformation, and other people finally experiencing what it's like to actually train. So if you're ready to get your physique from skinny to absolutely jacked within 6 months, I recommend clicking the top link in the description, and it's not going to disappoint you. Let's get into the video. First change that I actually made in my training journey when I realized that I could make more gains in my chest from push-ups. Push-ups are already a great exercise, right? Whether, it doesn't matter how you do them, you're gonna be seeing some chest progress unless you're like completely fucking it up. But I'm not assuming that you're like that. But the thing that I always learned about push-ups is that you need to completely tuck in your elbows. And that is the #1 mistake that I see people make right now. Listen, when it comes to any type of variation that you're doing for a push-up where you're trying to primarily target your chest, it's not about tucking in your elbows that gets you more activation or that it's better for your overall physique. It's simply just not. What you want to be doing is flare your elbows a little bit outwards so that you can actually emphasize that chest, because the more tucked in you're going to keep it, the more triceps you're really trying to work. And hey, more tricep gains for all of us, right, in the future, but we're trying to build chest right now. So flare your elbows out a little bit, especially when you're doing those ring push-ups, especially when you're doing those weighted push-ups, deficit push-ups. You want to be flaring your elbows out a little bit so that you can emphasize that stretch on the chest a little bit more. So for example, the deficit push-up is, in my opinion, one of the best chest exercises that you can do. You have a couple of variations in the deficit push-ups, such as ring push-ups, box push-ups, push-ups on parallettes. Those are all variations of deficit reps, right? The only thing is, the reason why we use deficit push-ups is to get a deeper stretch on the chest. But if you're going to be tucking in your elbows at that bottom position, the only thing you're going to be stretching more is your shoulders. You'll probably notice the difference if you actually tuck in your elbows and you go all the way down. The only thing you're probably going to feel is that your front delt is being stretched under grade load, but your chest is not. Instead of doing this, you actually rotate it upwards a little bit and you align your arms with the way that their fibers are actually going. You start noticing that you get a deeper stretch on your chest, and now your chest is really being worked. Expect DOMs, expect fucking soreness the next day when you start making this change. The moment when you start doing this, you will already change the trajectory of your chest and where your chest is actually headed when it comes to the overall size of it. You will make progress drastically. Second thing, y'all treat push-ups like you're not supposed to progressively overload on it like any other exercise. Listen, the push-up is a primary pushing exercise. I know a lot of y'all don't treat it like that, but if you're a calisthenics athlete and you're trying to grow your chest, what are you doing with fucking like ring flies? I know ring flies are great, and I highly promote ring training into your routine, into my routine. But what are you doing with all these chest isolations while you have the beautiful, knowing, time-proven, working exercise in front of you, the push-up? You should be prioritizing that into your routine for chest growth and not anything else. That is your main priority. All the exercises that go after the push-up is just a secondary or isolation or accessory exercise for the push-up, because the push-up is where your main growth is going to come from. Please understand, when you take your push-up serious, which I'm going to get into later, that is when serious growth starts to occur. Not when you treat this exercise as a little burnout for 2 sets to failure. It's not going to work. The stimulus is too low for that, especially when you go in body weight. Now, of course, it totally depends. If you're going very high weighted and you're doing ring weighted push-ups, 2 sets to failure is actually just right. Like, it's fine, right? I did, for example, 3 sets of weighted push-ups today, only about 6 to 8 reps, and I was good. So you don't really need extremely high volume on the push-up all of the time, even though that is what I used to do to grow my chest. But how have I been able to modify the push-up even more is by treating my push-up like it's a bench press for some guys, right? Or like it's a squat for some guys. Like it's whatever type of exercise you prioritize in your training routine right now, you want to be doing that for the push-up to see more chest growth. And literally, I kid you not, all of my friends that I ever trained with, like probably over 40, they have all done push-ups the way that I do them, and they saw chest growth immediately from it within like a 6-month period. That's why I know that the Jacked by Calisthenics course will get you jacked in 6 months, because I know that I've done this with people. I've done it with myself, I've done it with Matthias, I've done it with people who are just doing basically fluff right in the gym, and they start training like for real with a certain type of exercises in their bucket that they only focus on that with a little bit of isolation and accessories on the side, and all of a sudden their gains start to explode. Why is that? Because they're now focusing on something that is reliable and they're progressing with it consistently. When you start doing this, this is when progress starts to occur. Third topic, that's gonna be not prioritizing the exercise as your main lift. So basically, as I already said, you need to be making this exercise your #1 lift for chest. Please understand, if you clicked on this video for chest growth, right? And you want to be getting more out of your push-ups to get more chest growth, because I have done it in 6 months. If you want to be able to get more out of a certain exercise, out of push-ups, prioritize the exercise. So when I say prioritize, put it first for most of your days. Progressively overload it seriously, right? So seriously focus on progressively overloading. If you don't know how to progressively overload, by the way, on that, check out my get more out of less weight video right here, because it'll help you out a lot. Change the exercise up entirely to be able to make progress in a new way. Don't just stick to the normal push-up and end off your sessions with like a few pump sets. Pump sets, in my opinion, are totally bullshit. Did you know that? Pump sets are literally a waste of time. What are pump sets? Every single set of muscle building calisthenics is a pump set. So doing pump set, what y'all call pump sets, is basically fluff sets. Sets that are not really going to failure, sets that are just easy to do, just a couple of reps. That is what y'all most of the time call pump reps. It's not pump reps, it's just fluff work that you're doing for no reason. And the reason why you think you're doing it is because, oh, it's gonna be stimulating a little bit extra growth at the end of my session. It's simply just not. And the only way to actually do that, let's say you really do not want to get down to the push-up like for real, and you do not want to make it a priority exercise, okay, fine, you're gonna see less gains for you. But if you really want to do it as like the last exercise, I highly suggest you start doing down workouts. So down workouts at the end of the set is basically, at the end of the workout, is basically when you have a certain number of push-ups, for instance 20, that's like the common number, and you go down all the way to 1, which is 210 push-ups in a single routine. So you do, for example, my favorite way of doing this is doing decline diamond push-ups from 20 all the way down to 1. So you do 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, all the way down to 1 till you have nothing left. And that's a great way to finish off, for example, your chest day when you're doing different exercises, when you have other exercises as your priority. That way you can still get a lot out of the push-up, and you can progressively overload with it quite nicely, because you can just literally add one piece to the ladder, which is one extra set, which is gonna be 21 extra reps if you actually do that consistently time and time again. And of course, once you're at like 30 down to 1, right, at the end of your session, you're probably already like fucking jacked. Like if you're doing that shit like with clean reps, and you're actually going all the way back up, and you're going all the way down, and you're doing clean reps 30 down to 1 at the end of your session, you're strong as shit. I'm on that level where I could do that shit, but I don't even choose to do that because that will break me, right? Especially after a full workout. For a single workout, it's fine, but after a full workout, that is insane. So the moment when you start doing that, don't just increase the reps even more to 35 down or 40 down. That would be useless. You'll be doing 1,000 push-ups at the end of your chest day. It's like, what the fuck? What I want you to do is change the variation of the 20 down to 1. So let's say you have been doing 20 down to 1 at the end of your sessions. Decline diamonds, for instance. What you could do is change it to decline diamonds with the pause at the top or the bottom. Choose whatever you like, right? Then what you could do right after that, for example, is elevate your feet even higher, or do deficit push-ups where you're doing 20 down to 1. You can all change it in the way that you would like it to make it more difficult, to make the 20 down to 1 more challenging, because you do not want to keep it the same as we already talked about in this video. Then a very important point that I want to get across is use a deficit. If you're not using deficits, you are leaving your chest gains on the table. This is a big reason why most people, especially beginners, are not really making chest gains. I'm gonna mention him in the video. He's a good friend of mine. Like he's been following me for quite a long time now. He's probably watching this video. Alex, right? For the first time ever, he trained in my garden. This is a pretty cool story. He came to my garden, we trained also with Matthias, a friend that I showed like a little while ago. And we were training a little bit of chest and a little bit of arms, right? I was training full arms. They were training chest and back. The thing that I want you to realize is, if you're a type of calisthenics athlete who has always been focusing on high reps, If you want to switch to building more muscle and you're going to have to change your technique, which he had to do in this training session, it's going to be way more like of a difficult challenge for you. Because Alex, the guy that I'm talking about, I said to him, do your dips fucking slow, like extremely slow, right? Like go all the way down, like stretch your chest out to the, like really to the max. And he wasn't really like getting into that type of style that I was telling him to do after like 2 or 3 sets, because he is used to high reps or doing high weighted calisthenics with like shorter range of motion. But because right now I'm fully focused on hypertrophy, so I'm trying to really deepen my range of motion and improve it and improve the exercise and make it more difficult. He had to go through a whole different like training way of thinking to do the dips. So I said, yo, slow it down, slow it down. So he was still doing it quite fast. I was like, damn, like he was really used to a certain type of training. That is what happens when you are used to a certain type of style of exercises, right? Which is totally fine. But the thing is, you gotta be really utilizing the depth instead of just saying, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go deep, but you're not really going deep. The thing is, we have a deficit for the reason of going deep. That's the reason why we have a deficit. That's the reason why deficits work so well. That is the reason why we want to use deficits. We do not want to use deficits for the reason of like just using the deficit. Use rings, use deficits, whatever you're doing, for the depth. It is required for the depth. That is the reason why we use it. So my friend Alex right here, if he wants to build more muscle, he's really gonna have to make a change in his chest to basically say, you know what, I'm gonna go really like way off pivot to what I was usually doing, and I'm gonna go insanely deep on my chest reps. That is basically, in my opinion, the only way that he will see big chest growth right now, because his triceps are very big because of that lockout, right? He's doing short, quick reps. And the chest is kind of lagging because he's never emphasizing that lowered stretch position. And that's exactly what you want to be doing. And that is exactly why I say use a deficit. Then next topic, not using weighted calisthenics. If you're doing push-ups for quite some time now and you have not switched to weighted calisthenics, you need to actually start doing that as of right now, ASAP. Rewrite your training. Switch out the normal bodyweight push-up to actual weighted push-up, because this is gonna change up the way that you're gonna build your chest up quickly, bro. Weighted push-up are literally, in my opinion, the best exercise that you can do for chest, right? I mean, look at my chest. My chest is literally like insanely big. And the reason why is because I've just been progressively overloading on chest exercises such as the push-up and going weighted with it. Now, most people would tell you, yeah, okay, weighted calisthenics, yeah, fine. I don't really have that much weight at home. I have a 22-pound plate, I have a 45-pound plate, I got a weighted vest, 45 pounds, that's it. Bro, me too. I stick to the low weights and I progressively overload with angles, and also, again, as I said with the down workouts, making exercises more difficult in order to progress with them. Then the last topic, you are training like a girl. You are not actually training hard enough. And a lot of people, especially when it comes to the push-up, because the push-up is such a popular exercise, right? And everybody is doing push-ups. Everybody has done a push-up in their life. And the reason why I think that most people are not training hard enough on push-ups is because they're treating it as like the most common exercise of all in fitness. And they're treating it as like a beginner movement or a finisher. It is not that. When you start to treat this exercise as a real progression exercise where you go hard on it, where you take it to failure, past failure, beyond failure, that is the only way that you're going to be seeing quick growth. Normal push-ups, leaving 20, 30 reps in reserve or leaving 10 reps in reserve is simply not going to stimulate your muscles enough, so you're never going to see any progress. If you want to see progress with it, take it to literal failure. Now, if you can't do that on bodyweight reps, which I understand, right? Like, it's way more difficult to do that. That's why I tell you to go weighted. Go weighted, you will hit that failure mark way earlier, and that is how you're going to be progressing. So everything that I just gave to you when it comes to the chest progression that you need to use and how to get more out of less weight when it comes to the push-up, you now need a routine for that. So if you want to stop training like a girl and really build a routine around everything that I'm telling you right here, go to the top link in the description, Jacked by Calisthenics Blueprint, and you will build your routine with me through the modules in there. Go over there and actually build progress with push-ups, pull-ups, and every other exercise that I mentioned. And of course, watch this video right here to be able to actually make more progress with everything that I said in this video.